trying to remember where all the notes are on the grand staff, all the ones up here and all the ones down here, is very difficult to do. Especially, it takes a good, possibly 2 or 3 years to become familiar with what every single note is on every single line in space. And so when you're first learning how to play the piano, or even how to play the guitar or ukulele, which only use this section up here in the treble clef, it's a good idea sometimes to use in the beginning some mnemonic devices, things to help you remember what the notes are. And so I'm just going to write out some of the most common ones. First, we need to keep in mind middle C is right here. On a piano, middle C is C4. It's the fourth C up from the lowest C. So let's look at the notes that are above middle C. First, we'll take a look at these space notes. So the space notes, if we speak English, helpfully spell the word face. Space notes spell the word face. And so this is an F, this is an A, this is a C, and this is an E, like that. We can kind of see that from here, right? If this is C, the space note right above it would be D, then the next one would be E, and then the next one would be F. And so F is right here, F-A-C-E. So hopefully that's a little helpful device to remember that. When it comes to the line notes, we need to be a little bit more creative. Unfortunately, they don't spell any kind of word. And so the first note is an E, then G, B, D, and F. And again, that kind of makes sense because, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you start over, A, B, C, D, and so forth. And so I've heard all sorts of kind of fun and helpful phrases. The ones that I use are every good bird does fly. Got an F in there, right? So every good bird does fly, but I've heard a bunch of other ones. And what's a great idea would be to find some kind of mnemonic device, something to help you hear that just sounds completely ridiculous. The more ridiculous the phrase is that helps you remember the notes, probably the easier it is, to remember them. So I've heard, empty garbage before dad flips, or, every girl borrows dad's Ferrari, make up your own, come up with something that is memorable. So those are the notes that are above middle C, or above C4, if we're talking about the piano. Down below, we have, again, another sort of mnemonic device like this down here for the space notes. And so for this one, I usually use all cows eat grass. So kind of boring, but all cows eat grass. This is an A, all, C, cows, eat, E, grass. It's a G right there. Over here, I use something different. So usually down here I use good boys deserve fudge always, which is both helpful and true. So good boys deserve fudge always, right? G, B, D, F, and A. And so, with this kind of, this paper, all this stuff, I usually tell my students just to keep something like this next to them all the time when they're first learning piano, or when they're first trying to play these notes. There's no point in making it too hard on yourself. Eventually you start getting used to knowing like where everything is. You get used to the fact that this is a B, and this is an F, and this is an A, and so forth. But when you're first learning, when a student is first learning, having these little tricks to help you is really great. And just as I mentioned before, if you go up, it kind of makes sense that this is an E, this is C, D would be right here, and then there's your E. If I go down, right, there's my C. If I go one down, this would be a B, and then right below B you have A. Right? Remember that When we're talking about up and down in music, we're not talking about here to here. We're talking about, working your way up or working your way down. The lower it is, the lower it sounds. The higher it is, the higher it sounds. Kind of way up here. Another important thing for beginner students to remember is that it always depends on where the circle is or where the dot is. That's what tells you what note we're talking about. So you're going to see a lot of different kinds of notes in music. You're going to see some with the stems going down. You're going to see some that are filled in. You're going to see some maybe written, like this. Where, how far or how, that stem goes doesn't really matter. All that matters is where's the circle, right? That's what tells you where the note is. So try not to be confused about that when you're trying to work through these different notes and trying to kind of understand them. The circle is what tells you, or the dot is what tells you where the note is.